Once upon a time, in a village in Nigeria, there lived a kind woman named Iko. Iko had a beautiful baby girl, but she had no husband. Iko was very sad because she thought she could not take care of her baby all by herself. One night, when the stars were shining bright, Iko gently placed her baby in a basket. She walked quietly to an orphanage, a place where children without parents lived. She left the basket by the door and whispered, "Please take care of my baby." Then Iko walked back home with tears in her eyes. The people at the orphanage found the baby in the morning. They named her Ayo, which means joy in Yoruba. Ayo grew up to be a happy and strong girl. She loved to play with the other children and always had a big smile on her face. Please subscribe to this channel for interesting stories. Many years passed, and Iko missed her daughter every day. She often stood near the orphanage watching the children play. One day she saw Ayo and knew right away that she was her daughter. Iko's heart filled with love and hope. Iko decided she wanted to adopt Ayo back, but it was not easy. She went to the orphanage and told them her story. The people at the orphanage said Iko needed to follow many steps to adopt Ayo. First, Iko had to fill out many forms. She wrote her name, her age, and why she wanted to adopt Ayo. Next, she had to show she could take care of Ayo. Iko worked very hard, saved her money, and made her home nice and cozy for Ayo. After many days and nights of waiting, Iko got a letter from the orphanage. The letter said she could start the adoption process. Iko was so happy she danced around her house. But there was still more work to do. Iko had to meet with the people at the orphanage many times. They asked her many questions to make sure she was ready to be a mother. Iko answered all the questions with a smile because she loved Ayo very much. One sunny day, the people at the orphanage finally said, "Iko, you can adopt Ayo." Iko was so happy, she cried tears of joy. She signed the papers and paid the money needed for the adoption. Iko and Ayo went to their new home together. They were both very happy, but they knew they had much to learn about each other. And so Iko and Ayo started their new life together. They laughed, played, and learned together every day. Their hearts were full of love and happiness. But their journey was just beginning, and many more adventures awaited them as they built their new life together. Iko and Ayo settled into their new home. Every morning, Iko would make a delicious breakfast, and they would sit together at the table, laughing and sharing stories. Iko loved telling Ayo stories about the village and teaching her about their traditions. One day, Iko took Ayo to the market. The market was full of colorful fruits, vegetables, and friendly faces. Ayo's eyes widened with wonder as she saw all the different things. Iko held Ayo's hand tightly and showed her how to pick the best fruits. As they walked through the market, they met many of Iko's old friends. Everyone was happy to see Iko and curious about Ayo. Iko proudly introduced Ayo to them. "This is my daughter, Ayo," she said with a big smile. Ayo shyly waved at everyone, feeling a little nervous but also happy. In the evenings, Iko and Ayo would sit outside their home, watching the sunset and the stars come out. Iko taught Ayo the names of the stars and how to make wishes on the brightest ones. Ayo loved these quiet moments with her mother, feeling safe and loved. As time went on, Ayo started school. She was excited but also a little scared. Iko walked her to school every day, holding her hand and encouraging her. "You are smart and brave," Ayo, she would say. "You can do anything you set your mind to." At school, Ayo made new friends and learned many new things. She loved telling Iko all about her day when she came home. Iko would listen carefully, always interested in every little detail. But not everything was easy. Sometimes Ayo felt different from the other children because she knew she had once lived in the orphanage. She had many questions about her past and why she was left there. Iko knew these questions would come and always answered them with honesty and love. "Why did you leave me at the orphanage, Mama?" Ayo asked one evening, looking up at the stars. Iko took a deep breath and held Ayo close. "I was very scared, Ayo." I didn't know if I could take care of you by myself, but not a day went by that I didn't think about you and miss you. When I saw you again, I knew I had to do everything I could to bring you back home." Ayo hugged her mother tightly. "I love you, Mama," she said softly. "I love you too," Ayo Iko replied, "more than anything in the world." From that day on, Iko and Ayo's bond grew even stronger. They faced challenges together and celebrated each other's successes. Iko taught Ayo to be proud of who she was and where she came from. As Ayo grew older, she became more confident and curious about the world. Iko supported her in everything she wanted to do, always by her side. Their story was still unfolding, with many more adventures and lessons to come. Iko and Ayo knew that as long as they had each other, they could overcome any obstacle and find joy in every moment. One sunny afternoon, Iko and Ayo decided to plant a garden in their backyard. They bought seeds for tomatoes, peppers, and okra from the market. Iko showed Ayo how to dig small holes in the soil and gently place the seeds inside. "These seeds will grow into strong plants, just like you are growing into a strong girl," Iko said with a smile. Ayo loved watering the garden every day, watching the little green shoots peek out from the soil. She felt proud when the first tomatoes and peppers began to grow. Iko and Ayo would pick the vegetables together, and Iko taught Ayo how to cook them into delicious meals. One day, while they were working in the garden, Iko noticed Ayo was very quiet. She looked up and saw a thoughtful look on Ayo's face. "Mama," Ayo began softly, "do you think I will ever meet my real father?" Iko knelt down beside Ayo, taking her hands in hers. "Ayo, your father and I were not able to stay together, but that doesn't mean he doesn't think about you. If you ever want to find him, I will help you. But remember, you have a big family here who loves you very much." Ayo nodded, feeling comforted by her mother's words. "Thank you, Mama. I just wonder about him sometimes." Iko hugged Ayo tightly. "It's okay to wonder, my dear. And when you are ready, we will look for him together." As the seasons changed, so did Ayo. She grew taller and stronger, and her curiosity about the world grew even more. She excelled in school, always eager to learn new things. Iko was incredibly proud of her daughter and encouraged her to follow her dreams. One day, Ayo came home with exciting news. "Mama, our school is having a big play, and I want to be in it." Iko's eyes sparkled with pride. "That sounds wonderful, Ayo. What is the play about?" "It's about a brave girl who goes on an adventure to find a hidden treasure," Ayo explained, her eyes shining with excitement. "I want to try out for the main role." Iko helped Ayo practice her lines every evening. They would act out the scenes together, laughing and having fun. Ayo worked very hard and gave her best effort during the auditions. When the day of the play arrived, Iko sat in the front row, cheering loudly as Ayo took the stage. Ayo performed beautifully, her voice clear and strong. The audience clapped and cheered, and Iko felt tears of joy in her eyes. After the play, Ayo ran to Iko, beaming with happiness. "Mama, I did it. I was so nervous, but I did it." Iko hugged her tightly. "You are amazing, Ayo. I am so proud of you." Life continued to be full of adventures for Iko and Ayo. They faced challenges together, celebrated their victories, and always supported each other. Iko knew that the love they shared would guide them through whatever the future held. And so their story continued, with Iko and Ayo embracing each new day with hope and love, ready for the many more adventures that awaited them.